Welcome to Ari on TV. This week's show is called Listening to Your Heart. Welcome to this quiet place of beauty. We come from busy things, pausing for a moment for the thoughts that quiet brings. This week's chalice lighters are the Sofanoff family.
We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action.
This month's theme is deep listening. So here I have an ear.
Miss Jess.
What? Is something wrong?
Miss Jess, that is not an ear.
It isn't? It fits on my head, so it must be an ear. Oh wait. You're right, this isn't an ear. This is a heart. What does a heart have to do with deep listening?
When you listen with your heart, you can find out people feel. Part of deep listening is listening with our hearts to hear another person truly and fully. It is one way to show compassion. It means really paying attention when a person is trying to tell you something.
I'm sorry, what did you say? I wasn't paying attention.
Miss Jess, that's what I was just talking about.
What were you talking about?
About listening with your heart, really paying attention when a person's trying to tell you something.
What? What were you saying?
Oh, Miss Jess, deep listening with your heart, really paying attention to a person trying to tell you something. Oh, I give up.
Wait! I know. I think I know what you're trying to say. Deep listening is listening with your heart, and that means really paying attention when someone's trying to tell you something.
Yes!
I always do that.
Miss Jess, I hope this month you're working on listening with your heart a little bit more.
We're going to learn a little bit more about deep listening with one of our favorite storytellers, Miss Karen.
So hi guys, this is Miss Karen, and I am excited to be visiting you through technology to share a little story and a little lesson with you. The lesson today is about deep listening, and deep listening is about listening from your heart instead of your head or your ego, and it's a way of showing people that you really care, and when you listen deeply to someone, they feel safe. And I really miss listening to your joys and concerns and hearing what is on your hearts. And deep listening is about giving each other a chance to say what is on your hearts. The story I'm going to tell today is something that I heard from a friend of mine. And it happened years ago after Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina was a large hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico that made landfall in New Orleans. And New Orleans has a very low, is under sea level. The elevation is very low, and they're very prone to flooding under normal circumstances. But when a big hurricane hits, it's even worse. And that hurricane caused they have these mounds, these levees, dirt mounds that normally keep the floodwaters back, and those failed, and large portions of the city got flooded. It was a terrible mess, and a lot of people's lives were affected. So this story that I'm going to tell you is about some friends of mine that were in New Orleans a couple of years after Hurricane Katrina. And they were taking a cab from to the airport. And the driver was somebody who was from New Orleans, and he had been in New Orleans at the time of Hurricane Katrina. And when they started talking with him, he was telling the stories about how awful it was and how badly everybody behaved during the storms. It was kind of a desperate time, but there were lots of terrible reports on the news about the awful things that were happening. Some of which turned out not to be true or to be exaggerated, just they weren't put into context. So, in order to get him off the kind of distressing topic, my friend asked him about his own experience, what happened to him during the hurricane. And when the topic changed, he started telling us a rather different story. That in fact he had lost everything in the flooding, but he had insurance and a good insurance company, and they paid for the replacement and the repairs to his home. And when he worked for Walmart, and they relocated him to a safer place in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which had never been evacuated. So he didn't lose his job and he still had an income. And in fact, when he arrived in Baton Rouge, they paid him, and his part of his job was to return to New Orleans as soon as possible with some checks that he was to give out to other workers for Walmart, $2,000 to all these different workers, and so that they could get back on their feet and get back to work and help clean up the mess that was down there. So that was actually a very pleasant experience for him because he got to be the one to help all of his other friends and coworkers, and to bring them this money the from the company. So that was kind of interesting how the story changed from when he first started telling the story. He was just thinking about all the awful news that was told and all the stories that everybody else was telling. But when they really asked a question and then they were just quiet, they just listened, they made space for him to talk about his own experience, which was actually quite different. And that's how deep listening is. That sometimes if you are quiet and listen, you make space for somebody to tell a deeper story than maybe the one that's been said more loudly. One way to think of this is that the real story, the deep story, is like a wild animal. And if you wanted to see a wild animal and you went running up to them, they would just run away and you would never get to experience being with that wild animal. But if you went into the woods, if there was a doe and her fawn that came into a certain meadow every day and you watched and you knew that they were often seen there, and you went out before dusk and you sat quietly in the meadow, then they might just come right up to you. So that's how it is with deep listening. If you sit quietly and wait, sometimes you can hear or see or discover something that you wouldn't if you didn't do that. It's been said that being listened to is so close to being loved that most people cannot tell the difference. So when you sit quietly and listen deeply to what is on other people's hearts, they feel cared for and they feel loved and they feel safe. And that's a good way to make friends, and it's a good thing to practice. So thanks for spending a little time with me, and I hope you have a great week.
I have a new friend that I'd like you guys to meet. Her name is Leah, and she's a musician and a person who likes to meditate. And she's going to lead us in our meditation moment this week. So what I want you to do is sit comfortably in your chair or on the floor. Put your hands on your lap or on your knees. Sit up nice and tall. You can focus your eyes, make them a little bit fuzzy, or even close your eyes if you want. I want you to take in a deep breath. Let that deep breath out. Let's do another breath. Take another deep breath in and let it out. And let's get ready to meditate with our friend Leah.
I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. My hands are wide open, eyes are wide open to see what I may be. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. Lucy, what does it mean to listen?
To hear.
To hear. What kind of things can you hear?
Outside.
Yeah. What kind of things do you hear outside?
The wind blowing the fields.
The wind blowing the trees. That's nice. Jacob, what do you think it means to listen?
To be aware of your surroundings using your ears.
Yeah. Is there another way of listening? Maybe of listening to each other and listening inside of yourself?
Yeah.
What do you think about?
It was not fun to listen to myself without a telescope.
And what do you hear when you're listening to yourself without a stethoscope?
You can hear yourself breathing, and sometimes you can hear your heartbeat.
Mm-hmm,
Do
that's
you
true.
hear me breathing?
I do hear you breathing. It's quite loud. Is there a way to listen and hear without your ears?
Yeah. With your heart.
And when you listen with your heart, what kind of information do you get?
I think you can listen to other people's emotions and how they feel.
Mm-hmm. Can you listen to yourself that way?
See, I close my ears and I can still listen.
Yeah? What do you hear when you close your ears?
I hear myself talking.
Mm-hmm.
I hear static.
Your static, let me see.
Well, it's mostly like thunder.
And I hear myself with my ears closed.
Yeah. You can close your ears and close your eyes. Open your heart and listen and see if you get any guidance. If your heart tells you what it wants to do and what kind of things make it happy. You can listen to yourself that way, and you can listen to other people that way. Listen deeply, and you'll hear even more than what you hear with your ears, yeah? I'm listening. I am listening.
Software.
Spirit, speak to me. I hear Papa coming.
Das wollten wir eigentlich gestern machen, aber dann haben wir es
You hear that?
heute war schon ein bisschen spät geworden.
I hope you guys have enjoyed all the fun stories we've had so far today. Next up is an activity I think you'll enjoy with Miss Melissa.
Hi, my name is Melissa. I'm a member of UUCSJS, and I'm also a family physician. I'm going to talk to you today about the heart. We use the term heart to mean the center of our spirits, but the heart is a pretty special organ. So raise your fist. Put a fist up. No, I'm not going to punch the screen, but your heart is about the size of your fist. It sits right in about the center of the chest, just a little bit to the left. The heart is a muscle. It also has its own electrical system and its own blood supply, so it's pretty important that we take care of it. I'm going to tell you some pretty cool facts about hearts. I bet you didn't know some of these. So one thing that's kind of cool is that even though on Valentine's Day, and even the shirt I'm wearing, like we draw red hearts all the time, turns out that the heart is actually not red. It's actually a little bit more brown. Did you know that? Even I sort of forgot that. The heart works all the time, never stops. It doesn't stop even if you sneeze. It beats about 100,000 times a day and 40 million times a year. That's a lot. Like I said, it has its own electrical system. So did you know that if your heart was separated from your body, it would still continue to beat because it has its own electrical system? That's pretty cool. The heart acts like a pump, right? That muscle just pumps the blood. And even though it's pretty small, it weighs between 7 to 15 ounces. It's pretty mighty. The heart pumps about 100 gallons of blood through the body every hour. That's enough to fill 1,600 drinking glasses, which clocks in at 2,000 gallons each day. That means that over the course of your lifetime, maybe around 75 years or so, your heart will pump about 1 million barrels of blood. The heart pumps that blood to all 75 trillion cells in your body, with the exception of your corneas. That's right on the surface of your eyes. When the body's at rest, it takes about 6 seconds for the blood to go from the heart to the lungs and back. It takes about 8 seconds for it to go from your brain and back, and about 16 seconds for the blood to travel all the way from the heart down to your toes and back again. In just one day, the heart pumps blood through 12,000 miles of vessels, which is about 4 times the distance from New York to California. Even more incredible, if all these vessels were placed end to end, they would extend about 60,000 miles, which is enough to circle the earth more than twice. So we're going to learn about the heartbeat, like I said. And like if you're like me, you might wear an iWatch or a Fitbit, and my iWatch can actually tell me right now what my heart rate is. Like I don't have to do anything to check it. Right now it looks like it says 79 beats per minute. But if you don't have an iWatch or you don't have a Fitbit, you can check your heart rate yourself. It's pretty easy. There's kind of 2 spots that are the easiest ones to check. So start by taking 2 fingers, and we're going to check the pulse in your neck. So right in the middle of your neck here, you're going to go just to the side of that and kind of tuck under your chin and just hold your fingers there. See if you can feel your pulse. I'll give you a second to see if you can find it. Just kind of start lightly, and if you need to press a little harder, you can, but don't press too hard. Don't hurt yourself. So see if you can feel that. Another spot you can feel your pulse, it's also pretty easy, is right on the wrist. So you go to the center of the wrist and then just a little bit towards where the thumb is. There we go. And again, take 2 fingers because it's a lot easier to feel the pulse that way. And just kind of press lightly on it. See if you can feel your pulse. So the way you count your pulse to see how fast your heart is beating, well, you could set up a timer and check it for a minute and then just count the number. Or an easier way is to have someone help you count down 6 seconds, and then you just add a 0 on the end of that. All right, so we'll count 6 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So just count the number of beats that you felt in that period of time. I'll try it one more time just so you can check it at home. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, I counted 7 beats, so my heart's beating about 70 beats per minute, which matches up with my watch. That means that we checked it correctly. Now we want to find out what happens when we exercise, right? When you exercise, your heartbeat's probably going to go a little bit faster. So I'll have you just pause the video right now, hit the pause button, and when you do that, you're gonna walk around for about 3 minutes and see what happens. Okay, so I'll come back. All right, so I'm back. Did everyone walk for 3 minutes? And then did you recheck your pulse to see what happened, either on your wrist or on your neck? So if you can, write that number down, and then we can look and see what even harder exercises looks like. So the next thing we'll have you do, and I'll take just a little pause here to allow you to do this, or you can hit the pause button, is I want you to run in place like super hard for 1 minute. So it helps to have some type of a timer, maybe your phone or watch, or another person can help you count it down to run, just jog in place for as hard as you can for about a minute, and then see what happens with the pulse. So I'll give you a minute to pause this and do that. All right, and see if you can feel that change in your pulse, right? Maybe you just started sweating a little bit, that your heart is beating faster because it needs to pump out more blood to get down to all your muscles and get down to your fingers and your toes. So when you need more oxygen, that's going to make your heart rate go up a little bit more. All right, let's try one more thing. Can you do 25 jumping jacks? Wow, I have trouble with jumping jacks nowadays, but we could still try. Hit the pause button again and do 25 jumping jacks for me. Let's see what happens to the pulse. All right, did everyone do 25 jumping jacks? And feel the pulse again. What number did you get? Did it go up? So obviously exercise makes your pulse go up, but you can also make your pulse go down. Things that are relaxing to you, like such as meditation, that can help your pulse rate go down. In fact, our bodies and our brains are pretty amazing at being able to bring down our heart rate. So like if you ever feel your heart rate's going up because you're feeling stressed or you're feeling anxious, you can actually do some things to make it go down. So for example, even just taking some slow, deep breaths, holding a breath, letting it out slowly, or breathing through your nose. That can help you slow your heart rate down. So see what effect that has. And learn some meditation techniques. You can actually train your brain to relax your body and relax your heart enough to slow down your heart rate. So sit for a minute, pause your video again, and see if you can just maybe close your eyes, really relax, take some deep breaths. Try to tell your brain, okay, slow down, think a really relaxing thought. Think of something that makes you happy. See if you can get your heart rate to come back down, even lower than what it was when we first checked it. So I'll give you just a minute to do that. You can hit your pause button here if you want. How did everyone do? You should have been able to bring your heart rate down, at least down from when you were doing those jumping jacks or running around in place. And it's important that we listen to our heart rate, and we want to keep our heart healthy. Like I said, if we want that heart rate to to keep going and going for 75 years or more, then we have to take really good care of it. So part of it is making sure you get regular exercise, but part of it also is to make sure you stay relaxed and you get plenty of sleep. It's important that you eat the right foods, eat lots of fruits and vegetables, eat mainly plants, trying to stay away from junk food like, McDonald's, French fries, those kinds of things, because those can, over time, they might clog up those arteries in your heart. You don't want that. You want your heart to last you as long as possible. So I'm so glad that you helped me to listen to your heart today. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or call me or reach out. Miss Jess can get a hold of me if you guys have other questions or if you want to do another video. So thanks again for joining me, and have a heart healthy, happy day. All right, take care, guys. Bye.
I hope you guys enjoyed this Ari on TV, Listening to Your Heart. Can you say the words with me while we extinguish our chalice? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Miss Melissa is willing to answer some questions for you guys. So if you have questions about how your heart works or how your ears work, she is our guest expert. And so you guys can send me an email addressed to Miss Melissa, and I will get those to you. And she will come back next week and answer those email questions. So any questions that you've ever wanted to know about your ears or your hearts or listening or anything at all, you can send them to Miss Melissa, okay? See you next week.